On my 50th birthday, my entire family vanished. No note. No call. Just a Facebook post from my daughter, "You won't even notice we're gone LOL." That was the moment I realized maybe I'd been invisible for years. For weeks, my wife kept saying, "Just wait, something big is coming." She had this spark in her eyes, like she was planning something amazing. I didn't ask much, just smiled. Maybe a surprise party? A trip? I turned 50 that Friday. I figured she'd rented a cabin or something like she did for my 40th. I wasn't expecting fireworks. But I was expecting something. She smiled every time I asked. Just wait. Like a kid with a secret. I got off work early that day. Stopped by the store and picked up a bottle of wine and some steaks to grill. She liked ribeyes. I liked seeing her happy. When I pulled into the driveway, everything looked normal. But when I opened the door, the house was dead silent. Too quiet. No decorations. No balloons. Just empty. The kind of empty that makes your stomach drop. I called out her name. Nothing. Walked room to room, no wife, no kids, no note, no text. Not even a voicemail. Just gone. I stood in the living room holding 2 grocery bags in my hand, wondering if I was losing it. I thought maybe she'd jumped out with a surprise. But 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Still nothing. Around an hour later, I sat down with a glass of wine, scrolling through my phone. That's when I saw it. A Facebook post from my oldest daughter. It was a selfie. She was in a beach chair, sunglasses on, tropical drink in hand. The caption? "He won't even notice we're gone LOL." Behind her in the photo was my wife. Smiling. Her sister. Her parents. And our 2 kids. All of them were at a resort. A freaking beach resort. I just stared at the screen. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just shut down. I don't know how long I sat there, rereading the caption like it would change. They'd left me. On my 50th birthday. No goodbye, no explanation. Just silence. I thought maybe there was some reason. An emergency. Something logical. But no. Another photo popped up. A boomerang of them clinking glasses with that cheers to freedom vibe. My daughter commented under the photo, "Mom needed this." We all did. That one stung. I didn't text. I didn't call. I didn't comment. I just sat there in my quiet house with a bottle of wine that now felt completely pointless. The steak stayed in the fridge. I didn't eat. I just watched the likes roll in on their photos while my birthday passed in silence. That night I slept on the couch. Not because I couldn't go to our bed, but because I didn't want to. That bed had her perfume. Her pillow. Her side. I wasn't ready to lie in it alone. Not yet. The next morning, I checked my phone again. Still nothing. Then came the second day. It started slow. A single WhatsApp message from her. "Hey. Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Then 2 more. Then 5. Then 10. All from her. Then my daughter. Then my mother-in-law. By that evening, my phone was practically buzzing off the table. 49 messages. No exaggeration. They ranged from casual to desperate. "Please call me. It's not what you think. I thought it would be funny. Can you just please say something? We didn't think you'd be so upset. The kids are crying. Please respond." Suddenly, I was the one ruining things. I was the bad guy for not replying. But they left me. On my birthday. They laughed. They posted. They made a joke out of it. And now, because I didn't play along, I was cruel. I sat there reading every message. Every excuse. Every justification. And I didn't respond. Not yet. They wanted my attention. They wanted a reaction. But after 20 years of being the stable one, the provider, the planner, the one who always made sure they were okay? Now, they could sit in that silence. Like I had. And maybe then, they'd feel just a sliver of what I felt walking into that empty house. The silence became power. For once, I wasn't scrambling to fix everything. I wasn't bending over backward trying to keep the peace or soften the blow. I wasn't playing the role of the patient husband, the forgiving father, the reliable son-in-law. I just sat with the weight of it all and let them squirm. Day 3 rolled around, and still no reply from me. My phone lit up every hour. Her name, her face, her messages. Desperation was leaking through every word now. It was supposed to be a prank. A little getaway. We didn't mean to hurt you. Please say something. The kids feel terrible. I feel terrible. I love you. That last one made me feel sick. Because if that's love, I'd hate to see what contempt looks like. Around noon, my oldest daughter tried calling. I let it ring. She texted instead. Dad, please. Mom's not okay. She's been crying non-stop. We didn't think you'd take it like this. Oh, you mean like a sane person whose entire family abandoned him on his 50th birthday? I didn't reply. I went for a drive instead. Just me and the road, windows down, radio off. I let the silence fill the truck like it was something sacred. No voices. No fake apologies. Just the sound of my thoughts unraveling. How long had I been invisible to them? Was it just this year? Or longer? They called it a joke. But it didn't feel like one. It felt like a message. A very clear one: you don't matter as much as you thought. I stopped at a diner outside town. Sat at the counter. Ordered black coffee and a slice of pie. The waitress smiled and said, "Anything else, hun?" I almost said, "Yeah. A new life, maybe." But I just shook my head. That night, back home, I finally opened WhatsApp. Not to reply. Just to read. One message stood out. It was from my wife. Sent around 2 a.m. Please just say you're okay. I can't sleep. I messed up. I know that. But I'm scared this broke us. Please say something. That was the first one that sounded real. No justifications. No spin. Just fear. I stared at it for a long time. Then I locked my phone, got up, and walked to the bedroom. The bed still smelled like her. Still had that small dent where she usually slept, curled up on her side. I lay down on my side, but I didn't close my eyes. All I could think about was how quickly they left. How easy it seemed for them. I remembered our daughter's caption, "You won't even notice we're gone LOL." That LOL was still echoing in my head. The next morning, I finally sent one message. Just one. To my wife. Let me guess, this was your big surprise? She read it in under a minute. The typing bubble appeared instantly. Then disappeared. Then came back. She didn't know how to respond. Eventually. Yes, but it wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought you'd follow us. I thought you'd laugh. I didn't even know where to start with that. I mean, what kind of person thinks let's abandon my husband on his milestone birthday is some kind of bonding experience? And why did she need me to chase her to feel loved? I didn't reply again. Not yet. The next message was longer. I booked the trip last minute because your birthday plans fell through. The restaurant cancelled. The friends bailed. I panicked. I thought a beach trip would be fun. We were going to fly you out the next morning as a surprise. But when you didn't respond, I got scared. That almost made sense. Almost. Except for the captions. The laughing. The way they stayed when they knew I was hurting. I finally replied. A surprise doesn't come with public humiliation attached. Then I put the phone down, walked outside, and sat on the porch as the sun started to dip below the trees. Let them sit in the silence again. They had 6 days left on that resort booking. Let's see how relaxing it feels now. By day 4, the guilt parade had turned into a full-on circus. My wife's tone shifted from regret to panic. The kids started piling on, too. My youngest, my sweet, sensitive 14-year-old, sent a voice message. She was crying. "Dad, please don't be mad at Mom. She thought it was gonna be a fun surprise. I didn't know you didn't know. I thought you were coming the next day. I just miss you." That one hit harder than I expected. Because unlike my wife, I believe her. She's too young to understand how layered betrayal can be. Too young to see how something fun becomes humiliating when it's one-sided. I don't blame her. I blame the woman who raised her. And that made me hate myself a little. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and stared at my phone again. Message after message like a digital paper trail of regret. I couldn't stop thinking about her words, "I thought you'd follow us." That's not a surprise. That's a test. And I didn't even know I was taking it. So I failed, I guess. By not immediately dropping everything to chase after the people who left me behind like an afterthought. Apparently, that makes me the bad guy now. The next message came from my sister-in-law. The one I always barely tolerated but kept civil with for my wife's sake. She sent me a wall of text. Stuff like, I get you're hurt, but don't punish everyone for a misunderstanding. You're overreacting. She planned to fly you in, it just didn't go right. Your silence is affecting the kids. Funny, isn't it? They ghosted me first. Literally packed their bags, left the state, and laughed about it online. But I'm the one being accused of abandonment now because I'm not immediately forgiving the surprise. That night I had dinner alone again. A microwaved burrito. Washed it down with another drink. I wasn't spiraling. Not yet. But I could feel the weight of it pressing down harder. It wasn't just about the birthday. It was about all the birthdays before. All the times I worked overtime so we could afford vacations. All the holidays I spent fixing broken appliances or assembling last-minute Christmas toys. All the times I sat through her family's chaos because she needed me to smile and to just be patient. I gave them everything. And for my 50th birthday, I got a caption that said I wouldn't even notice they were gone. They were wrong. I noticed. The next morning, I finally answered a call. It was from my oldest. She burst into tears before I could even say hello. Dad, please come. Just come. She's a mess. We all are. Did she think I wouldn't be? I asked. My voice was cold. Even to me. She didn't think, she said, sniffling. That's the problem. I stayed silent. She knows she ruined it, Dad. But please, you leaving us in the dark is worse. That sentence stuck with me. You leaving us in the dark is worse. Worse than what? Being ditched? Being humiliated online? Being forgotten? I told her I'd think about it. That was the truth. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to make them beg. I just wanted to understand how someone who knew me so well could get me so wrong. That night, my wife sent one more message. Just one line. I'm not asking you to forgive me yet. Just, let me explain in person. I stared at the screen for a while. Then, without thinking, I replied. You get one chance. When you're home. They came back on a Sunday. I heard the car before I saw it. The gravel crunching under the tires was enough to send a ripple through my chest. I was sitting on the porch, half a coffee in hand, watching the sky do that weird orange-grey thing before a storm. I didn't stand up when they pulled in. The van door opened and out spilled my two girls. They looked hesitant. Like they didn't know if they were walking into a home or a battlefield. My oldest gave me a small wave. My youngest just stood there, eyes searching mine like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to cry. Then I saw her, my wife. She stepped out slowly. No makeup. Hair tied back. She looked tired. Or maybe just small. Nobody said anything. I nodded toward the house. Go on inside, I said. We'll talk. The girls obeyed instantly. My wife stayed behind. I could feel her waiting for permission. I didn't give it. I just got up and walked toward the door, leaving it open behind me. She followed. Inside was quiet. They knew not to touch anything yet. The house still looked the way it did the night they left. Clean. Still. Half lived in. I pointed toward the dining table. She Saturday. I'm not here to yell, she said, barely above a whisper. Good, I said. Because I'm not here to listen to excuses. She nodded like she expected that. I didn't think this would spiral like it did, she said. It wasn't meant to be cruel. Then what was it meant to be? I asked. She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. Fun, she said. Something light-hearted. Something spontaneous. I thought, maybe for once, you'd break out of the routine. I thought you'd laugh. Get a flight the next day and surprise us. My jaw tightened. I work. I plan. I show up. That's who I am, I said. That's what you married. I know, she said. And maybe I took it for granted. No, I corrected her. You did. And you humiliated me. Publicly. You left me alone on my birthday. That wasn't spontaneous. That was abandonment. She started crying then. Quiet at first. Hands over her face. The kind of crying that shakes your shoulders but not your voice. I just wanted to feel like I could still pull off something fun, she said. Like I could still surprise you. Like we still had that spark. I leaned back, arms folded. So you gambled our whole marriage on a prank? I didn't think you'd take it like this, she whispered. I scoffed. No. You just thought I'd laugh. Like it was a sitcom. Not real life. Her tears didn't stop. She kept wiping her face, but they kept coming. I made a terrible call. I know that. The minute I saw your silence, I knew I blew it. You didn't just blow it, I said, voice low. You blew us. That one landed. She flinched. The girls were still in the other room. I didn't want them to hear this. But it needed to be said. Tell me the truth, I said. Was there really a plan to bring me the next day? Or did that only start after you saw the backlash? Her mouth opened. Closed. Then opened again. I booked a ticket, she said. But I never confirmed it. I was waiting to see how you'd react. I nodded. That was all I needed. You tested me, I said. You wanted to see if I'd chase you. And when I didn't, you panicked. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. This isn't a rom-com, Jess. You don't test people who love you. You trust them. She whispered, I'm sorry. I stood up. Walked to the doorway. Then turned back once. You hurt me. Deeply. I don't know what happens next. But I need space. You can stay for now. But this house isn't a home again yet. Not until I decide if it still feels like one. Then I left her at the table. Alone. Just like I was. That first night back, she slept on the couch. I didn't tell her to. I didn't have to. She knew. I could hear her moving around in the dark, fluffing pillows, trying to settle. Every little sound felt louder in that stillness. The creak of the springs. The quiet hum of her trying not to cry again. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the little cracks in our marriage I'd ignored for years. It wasn't just the birthday. It was the forgotten anniversaries. The phone always in her hand. The way she used to touch my arm when she passed behind me, and how one day she just stopped. I think part of me knew something had changed. But I told myself that's what happens after 20 years. People grow comfortable. Routine. Predictable. But maybe she saw it as boring. Unexciting. Safe in the worst kind of way. Maybe she needed me to be unpredictable again. And when I wasn't, she tried to shake things up herself, only she shattered us instead. The girls were quiet the next morning. My youngest was in the kitchen, pouring cereal. She looked up at me like I was a stranger in my own house. Are we in trouble? She asked softly. I shook my head. No, sweetheart. You're not. She nodded, like that made sense, even though it didn't. She paused. Mom said she messed up. She did. Silence. Then, are you gonna leave us? That one tore through me. I knelt next to her and looked her in the eye. No. I'm not going anywhere. She stared down at her bowl, voice barely a whisper. I wish we stayed home. I wanted to hug her. Tell her it's okay. But it wasn't. So I just said, me too. Later that afternoon, my wife tried again. I talked to my therapist, she said from the doorway. I made an appointment. I want to understand why I did this. Why I thought it was okay. I didn't look up from the lawn I was raking. Might be a long list. She stepped onto the porch, arms folded tight across her chest. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm not even asking you to forgive me yet. I just want you to know I'm not pretending this didn't happen. I leaned on the rake. Good. Because I'm not pretending to be okay, either. She nodded. I know. Then, she pulled something from her pocket. My birthday card. I'd forgotten all about it. She held it out to me like it was evidence. I wrote this before we left, she said. I was going to give it to you at the airport. When we surprised you. I hesitated, then took it. She turned and walked back inside, quietly closing the door. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. The handwriting was familiar. Careful. Intentional. Inside was a simple message. To the man who gave me everything, now it's my turn to give you something back. A break. A surprise. A little joy. Happy 50th, love. Just wait. Something big is coming. I read it twice. Then again. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't mocking. It was just wildly misguided. She thought she was giving me a gift. Some kind of elaborate emotional gesture. But she wrapped it in absence and sealed it with public humiliation. I folded the card and put it in my back pocket. That night, I stayed up late again. Sat outside with a beer and thought about the next step. I wasn't done. Not yet. But the question now wasn't if we could fix it. It was, did I want to? 3 days passed before I said more than a few words to her. She tiptoed around the house like a guest, not a wife. Cooked meals, but never ate with me. Cleaned rooms I hadn't touched. Kept her voice soft, movement softer. Like she thought being quiet could somehow undo the damage. I let her. I needed the silence. But on the third night, I walked into the kitchen and she was sitting there, scrolling through her phone with red-rimmed eyes. She didn't look up when I came in. Just sat with her thumb hovering over the screen like she was stuck in a thought she couldn't escape. Is this how it ends? I asked. She looked up slowly. What? Our marriage. Is this how it ends? I repeated. Her eyes welled up instantly. I hope not. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. I've been trying to figure out if what you did was thoughtless or selfish. It was both, she whispered. But I swear it wasn't meant to hurt you. It did. She nodded. I know. There was a long pause before I asked, why didn't you just talk to me? She looked like she didn't have an answer. But then she said something I didn't expect. Because I didn't think you'd hear me. That hurt more than I thought it would. You think I don't listen to you? She shook her head. You listen. But not always with your heart. What does that mean? She leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. You're a great man. A great provider. But sometimes, it feels like you're always fixing things, not feeling them. Like everything is a problem to be solved, not understood. I sat with that. Let it sting. Maybe she was right. I've always been the fixer. The planner. The guy with the toolbox and the spreadsheet. I thought that made me reliable. Safe. But maybe to her, it made me feel distant. Unreachable. Why didn't you say anything before? I asked. She shrugged. Because every time I did, I felt guilty. Like I was complaining about something that didn't need to be fixed. And I didn't want to be another problem. That was when it hit me. She didn't just want a surprise. She wanted to feel seen. Not as a mom. Not as a wife. But as a woman. I sighed. Jess. I'm angry. Still. But I'm not done. Not yet. She blinked, tears threatening again. You're not? I shook my head. No. But if we're going to fix this, I need you to meet me halfway. No more tests. No more guessing games. I need honesty. I need you. Not the version of you who plays perfect online. The real one. The one who made a dumb choice and owns it. She covered her mouth and nodded, holding back a sob. I can do that, she said. I want to do that. I leaned back. Looked at her like I hadn't in a while. Then let's start over. Not for the kids. Not for appearances. For us. She reached across the table, slow and unsure, and placed her hand over mine. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was something. Maybe hope. Maybe the start of something real again. We didn't call it a reconciliation. It wasn't flowers and soft music and tearful makeups. It was quieter than that. Slower. Like learning to walk again after your legs forget how. She moved back into the bedroom 2 nights later. I didn't say no. I just shifted to my side of the bed and let the mattress speak for me. The space between us said everything we weren't ready to say out loud. We started talking more. Small stuff at first. Groceries. Work. Her mother's car making weird noises again. Nothing deep. Nothing about the beach. Or the birthday. Or the way I still flinched when she got too close too fast. But one night, maybe 4 days after that talk in the kitchen, we were lying in bed, both staring at the ceiling, and she whispered, "Do you know what scared me the most?" I didn't answer. I waited. That you wouldn't be mad, she said. That you'd just let go. Quietly. Like you'd already decided I wasn't worth fighting for. That sentence sat heavy between us. Because honestly, I almost had. There was a part of me that wanted to disappear from her world the same way she disappeared from mine. Just leave. No warning. No message. Just silence. Let her see what it felt like. But I didn't. I stayed. Because even though she hurt me deeply, I knew she wasn't evil. Just lost. I didn't stop loving you, I said, eyes still on the ceiling. But I didn't know if I could respect you again. She turned toward me. And now? I'm working on it. She nodded, wiped her eyes, and whispered, "So am I." The next few days were weirdly normal. Like we were cautiously walking through the remains of a burned-down house, trying to decide which walls could still hold weight. She stopped posting on social media completely. Said it made her feel fake. I didn't argue. I figured if she was willing to cut out the performative stuff, maybe she was starting to get it. We even laughed once. She slipped on a wet tile in the kitchen and caught herself on the fridge with this dramatic "I meant to do that" face. I snorted. She smiled. And for a moment, it felt like old times. Then came the letter. It showed up on a Wednesday afternoon. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name on the envelope. I opened it on the porch. Read the first line and froze. It was from one of her friends. The ones from the trip. I won't name her, but she had been in the background of a few of the beach photos. Never said much to me over the years, but I knew her as the fun one. The one always egging Jess on. She wrote, "I just want you to know I didn't agree with what happened. I thought it was cruel. I told Jess not to do it that way. But she said you'd understand. That you'd follow. When you didn't, she panicked. And she cried the entire second night at the resort. We tried to cheer her up, but she knew. She knew she'd gone too far." I finished the letter, folded it, and slid it into my back pocket. I didn't show Jess. Not yet. Because now I knew something else. She hadn't just misjudged me. She'd misjudged herself. She wasn't the confident planner she thought she was. She wasn't in control. She was a scared woman trying to feel seen again, and failing miserably. But maybe, just maybe, she was learning. And maybe, just maybe, so was I. 2 weeks passed. We didn't fall back into place. Nothing snapped together like a movie ending. There were no big speeches. No magical kiss. Just two people trying to relearn how to talk without armor. Every conversation felt like walking a tightrope, balanced between hope and history. But then, something shifted. We were eating dinner. Just spaghetti. Nothing special. I was telling her about some guy at work who tried to microwave fish again, and she laughed. Not polite. Not forced. A real laugh. The kind she used to let out without thinking. She caught herself afterward, like she'd broken a rule. Then said, "I missed that." What? Your stories. Your voice. It hit me then, how much we'd both been starving. Not just for affection. For connection. That night, she reached for my hand. No words. Just fingers laced into mine under the table. And I didn't pull away. The next morning, she made breakfast. Full spread. Eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice. Like she used to before life got busy, before the kids got phones, before our marriage got quiet. The girls looked confused at first. Then grateful. My youngest asked if it was a special occasion. Jess smiled and said, "Nope. Just wanted to start the day together." I didn't say anything. But I noticed. Every little thing. The way she looked at me differently now, not expectant, not apologetic, just present. The way she'd actually listen when I talked, not multitask or zone out. The way she started setting her phone face down at dinner. She wasn't perfect. I wasn't either. But she was trying. And it didn't feel performative anymore. It felt real. But I still hadn't let her all the way back in. There was still a part of me that held back. That remembered the ache of that empty birthday. The sound of silence in a house that was supposed to be filled with love. And then came the night she brought it up again. "I've been thinking," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "About the trip. About what it said about me." I looked up from my book. Waited. "I realized I didn't want to surprise you," she said. "I wanted to be the center of attention again. Just for a moment. I thought if I could make you chase me, I'd feel loved. But that wasn't love. That was fear." I closed the book. "That took you 2 weeks to figure out?" I asked. She gave a soft smile. "No. Took me 20 years. But 2 weeks to admit it. That broke something in me. Not in a bad way." I reached for her hand this time. Held it. "Do you love me?" I asked. "With everything I've got," she said. No hesitation. "Then don't ever disappear on me again." "I won't. And if you're feeling lost, say something." "I will." Silence. Then I said, "I'm still hurt." She nodded. "I know. But I'm still here." She nodded again. "So am I." I think that's when I realized we might make it. Not because we forgot what happened, but because we wouldn't pretend it didn't matter. We'd carry it with us, not as a weight, but as a reminder. That even love, real love, can shatter if you take it for granted. And rebuilding? It takes two. A month after they came home, my oldest handed me a card. No occasion. Just a small envelope with my name in her handwriting. Inside was a simple note. I'm sorry we hurt you. I didn't understand how bad it was until I saw you go quiet. You've always been the strong one. But I think I forgot that strong people can break too. I love you, Dad. I didn't say anything when I finished reading. I just pulled her into a hug and held her longer than usual. Maybe too long. But she didn't let go first. The next weekend, I found myself doing something I hadn't done in years. I planned something for me. I took the truck out to the lake, alone. No pressure. No expectations. Just space. I fished a little, though I didn't really care if I caught anything. It was more about the quiet. About proving to myself that I could enjoy my own company again. That being alone wasn't always the same as being abandoned. When I got home, she was waiting on the porch. You okay? She asked. I nodded. Yeah. I think I am. She stood up, holding something behind her back. I got you something. I raised an eyebrow. If it's a plane ticket to anywhere, we're gonna fight. She laughed, really laughed, and pulled out a small box. Inside was a watch. Simple, classic. Leather band. Silver face. On the back, engraved in tiny lettering. No more surprises. Just time, together. I turned it over in my hands. It's nice, I said quietly. I know I can't undo what happened, she said. But I want to be better. Not big gestures. Just better, every day. I strapped the watch on without another word. And that felt like a start. Later that night, we sat on the back porch together, a blanket over our legs. The girls were inside, arguing about something stupid on TV. It was the kind of normal I'd missed. I've been thinking, she said softly. Dangerous. She smirked. I deserve that. What's on your mind? I want to renew our vows. I turned my head, slowly. Not now, she added quickly. Not next week. Not even this year. But when we've earned it. I looked at her for a long moment. Then let's earn it. That's all I said. But her eyes lit up like I'd said yes. Because I didn't need a second wedding. I needed a second chance. We went back inside after that. The house was warm. Familiar. She curled up next to me on the couch and rested her head on my shoulder. I didn't push her away. Not because everything was healed. But because I finally believed it could be. And that belief was more than I'd had in a long time. 1 year later, almost to the day, I turned 51. There was no surprise party. No flights. No beach photos. Just my family, a grill out back, and the kind of laughter that feels earned. She made ribs, my favorite. The girls baked a lopsided chocolate cake and lit way too many candles. My youngest wrote "Best Dad Ever" in green frosting that looked like a 5-year-old did it. I kept the plate anyway. After dinner, I sat on the porch while they cleaned up, watching the sky go dark. She came out and sat beside me. Quiet, like she had a whole year ago. But this time, there was no tension. No guilt. Just us. You remember last year? She asked softly. I didn't answer right away. Every day, I finally said. But not like I used to. She looked over. What do you mean? I don't think about the hurt first. I think about what came after. The work we did. The way we made it through. She nodded slowly. Do you still resent me? I thought about that. No. I don't resent you, I said. But I always carry it with me. It's part of our story now. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A keychain. Just a cheap little metal tag. She handed it to me. On it, engraved in clean block letters. No more disappearing. Ever. I turned it in my hand and felt something settle inside me. Like a chapter closing. You still think about renewing our vows? I asked. She smiled. Yeah. But I don't need a big ceremony. I just want to keep showing up. Every day. I nodded. Then we already did. She leaned her head on my shoulder. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt full. Not perfect. Not healed like nothing happened. But whole in a way I never thought I'd feel again. The silence between us now wasn't cold. It wasn't angry. It was peace. I looked down at the watch on my wrist, the one she gave me after everything fell apart. Still ticking. So were we.